Florida is famous for its beaches, its cities, and its lush nature, but few know the silent threat lurking beneath the surface of the Everglades. The Burmese python, an invasive predator that has radically transformed one of the most iconic ecosystems in the United States. Introduced to the state likely through the exotic pet trade several decades ago, this species has not only survived in a completely new environment, but has thrived to become a true ecological disaster. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our videos about impressive nature secrets and the fight against invasive species. The Burmese python can exceed 5 meters in length and weigh over 90 kilograms, making it a formidable predator. Its diet is extremely varied. It devours small and medium-sized mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. In the Everglades, this has meant the disappearance of entire populations of raccoons, bobcats, rabbits, opossums, and various bird species. Biologists have documented dramatic drops in the numbers of small mammals, which alters the entire food chain of the ecosystem. What was once a swamp full of life can now feel eerily silent, a direct reflection of the impact of these invasive snakes. The challenge for scientists and conservationists is monumental. Pythons are extremely stealthy, camouflaging themselves among the reeds, trees, and murky waters of the Everglades. Their rapid reproduction and the lack of natural predators in the region have caused the population to grow at an alarming rate. Initial attempts to control them, using traditional hunting methods or simple traps, proved largely ineffective. The animals were difficult to locate, and the dense vegetation and unique geography of the Everglades hindered any massive capture operation. It was then that science and innovation began to make a difference. Researchers at the University of Florida and the Fish and Wildlife Service began studying python behavior patterns, diets, and movements using cutting-edge technology. Radio transmitters, trap cameras, and GPS tracking allowed them to identify the most densely populated areas and critical hunting habitats. Collecting this data not only facilitated the capture of individual snakes, but also allowed them to understand how to control the spread more strategically. At the same time, programs for citizen participation and collaboration with professional hunters emerged. One of the most relevant was the Python Elimination Program, where trained experts and volunteers patrol the area during the snake's peak activity season. Every captured snake is registered, measured, and removed from the wild to reduce its impact on native fauna. This coordinated approach of applied science and field action marked a before and after in the fight against the invasion. In addition to direct hunting, researchers explored innovative biological and ecological strategies. For example, they studied how pythons select their prey and how ecosystem habits could be modified to limit available resources for these predators. Techniques included everything from using pheromone baits to attract snakes, to detailed studies of breeding patterns, to intervene at peak reproduction times. Each discovery helped biologists refine their approach and design more efficient and sustainable control methods. However, the threat was not only ecological, but also symbolic. The Burmese python became a symbol of human impact on nature, how the introduction of exotic species, even for seemingly innocuous reasons like pets, can trigger crises that endanger entire ecosystems. The story of Florida became a global warning about the need for invasive species control and the importance of integrated conservation strategies. What makes this case especially dramatic is the speed with which these snakes transformed their environment. Studies show that, in some sectors of the Everglades, the population of small mammals dropped by up to 90% in just 2 decades, a decline that ecologists describe as catastrophic, and which still has repercussions on the dynamics of predation, pollination, and seed dispersal. The effects are even felt in species that are not direct prey, as the disappearance of certain animals alters the structure of the ecosystem in its entirety. Despite the chaos, the story also has a side of resilience and learning. The development of effective control programs has shown that, with the right combination of science, technology, and human collaboration, it is possible to mitigate the effects of invasive species. The implementation of innovative methods such as the Scout Snake Program which uses systematic tracking and advanced monitoring techniques, has allowed for more efficient snake localization, reduced the reproduction rate, and begun to restore ecological balance in critical areas. The program even explored the sustainable use of python skin as a resource, transforming an ecological problem into an economic and educational opportunity. Local artisans and businesses collaborated to responsibly utilize materials, teaching the community to value biodiversity and actively participate in ecosystem conservation. This approach demonstrates how humans can intervene in environmental crises creatively and responsibly, transforming a disaster into a lesson about coexistence and environmental management. For now, the Everglades continue under constant surveillance. Monitoring expeditions are organized every year, where scientists, hunters, and volunteers work together to locate new snakes and assess the health of the ecosystem. Recovery is slow but constant, and every positive report reinforces the idea that human intervention, when carried out with knowledge and respect, can reverse even the most severe damages. Comment Python if you believe humans can truly control invasive predators and save entire ecosystems. After the implementation of the python elimination program, results began to be noticed, albeit gradually. Scientists documented that, in areas of high surveillance and capture, snake density decreased significantly, allowing some small mammal populations to start recovering. Raccoons, opossums, and rabbits began to reappear on trails where before there was only silence. This initial recovery was an encouraging sign that coordinated, science-based strategies can reverse severe ecological damage. The Scout Snake program was a key innovation in this effort. Unlike traditional hunting methods, this program combines advanced technology with highly organized fieldwork. Trackers use motion cameras, infrared sensors, and analysis of behavior patterns to locate snakes in extensive areas, many of which are inaccessible to humans. Constant monitoring allows not only for the capture of adult pythons, but also for the interruption of their reproductive cycles, a crucial factor in controlling population growth. Individual success stories illustrate the effectiveness of these strategies. In a recent expedition in the Western Everglades, a team managed to capture a Burmese python over 5 meters long that had been preying in a critical bobcat breeding area. The capture of this specimen allowed for the protection of several bobcat kittens that otherwise would have been easy prey. These cases highlight the importance of precision and knowledge of snake behavior, as each capture can mean the difference between the survival or local extinction of vulnerable species. In addition, the program has incorporated sustainable methods for utilizing the resources obtained from python hunting. The skin of these snakes, which was previously considered waste, is now responsibly used in the manufacture of artisanal goods, generating income for local communities and raising awareness about conservation. This innovation demonstrates how an ecological crisis can become an educational and economic opportunity, showing the public the importance of actively engaging in the protection of their environment. Science has also played an essential role in the prevention of new invasions. Genetic studies conducted on python populations have made it possible to identify origins and dispersion patterns, which helps predict where new colonies might establish. This type of analysis not only guides field capture, but also offers crucial data for designing long-term prevention strategies, preventing future generations of pythons from expanding further through the Everglades. However, challenges persist. Pythons are highly resistant, capable of surviving in varied environments, including flooded areas, dense forests, and water channels. Some snakes have learned to avoid traps and baits, forcing teams to constantly innovate. The combination of technological tracking, behavioral knowledge, and human collaboration is the only way to keep this relentless predator under control. Another key aspect of the Everglades' recovery has been the ecological surveillance of native species. Biologists have installed monitoring stations to observe the reappearance of mammals and birds, assess habitat health, and measure the effectiveness of control programs. The information obtained allows for real-time strategy adjustment, increasing the likelihood of long-term success. Thanks to this data-driven approach, Some species that were on the verge of local disappearance are showing signs of recovery. Community participation has also been fundamental. Educational programs and volunteer activities have allowed residents and tourists to collaborate in the search for pythons and the protection of native species. This approach not only increases intervention capacity, but also fosters environmental awareness and shared responsibility, teaching people to understand the impact of invasive species and how their behavior can influence the health of the ecosystem. Furthermore, the experience gained in Florida is being shared internationally. Other states and countries facing similar problems with invasive species are studying the methods developed in the Everglades as a model for effective and sustainable management, demonstrating that the learning obtained there can have global repercussions in conservation and exotic fauna control. The partial success of the Florida programs has also generated technological innovations. For example, remote snake localization devices have been developed, which use body heat and movement to identify their presence underwater or among dense vegetation. This type of technology allows for much more efficient surveillance, reducing risks for humans and increasing the effectiveness of each capture operation. In parallel, scientists have studied python diets through stomach content analysis and genetic samples, which has revealed surprising patterns. These snakes not only prey on vulnerable species, but also affect the reproduction and behavior of the remaining animals, creating a domino effect that extends to the entire ecosystem. Understanding these patterns has been key to designing more precise and effective management strategies. The story of the pythons in Florida also has a broader message about human interaction with nature. The invasion of these snakes is a reminder of how the introduction of non-native species, even accidentally, can have devastating long-term consequences. But it also shows that, through collaboration, innovation, and science, it is possible to mitigate severe damages and restore affected ecosystems, turning what seemed like an irreversible disaster into an opportunity for learning and positive action. Today, although the fight continues, there are reasons for optimism. Capture strategies, constant monitoring, environmental education, and the sustainable use of resources obtained from python hunting are beginning to show tangible results. Native fauna is starting to reappear in areas where it seemed to have vanished for years, and the dynamics of the Everglades are slowly approaching a more natural balance. Share this video with someone who loves nature and survival stories so they can see how Florida is facing one of its greatest ecological challenges.